All right. Can I share my screen? Maybe like to enhance further
Yes,
on
please.
what I'm
Yes,
going to
please.
explain. Okay. All right. Can you view my screen? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So as you know, I'm a head of early childhood education program, and for the fact that I am with Veritas University College here in Kuala Lumpur, my area of expertise and interest are generally on teachers' educations. Okay, and I was originally a secondary teacher. Then I moved down from there to a preschool educations, and I went up back again onto higher education to train teachers. What brought me here today, I guess, was actually, I think, I saw how secondary students, or so to say teenagers, on my first post, and then how they behave, how they learn are actually tally and tied closely to their early education. So that's when I went down to preschool education and saw the discrepancy from teaching and learning point of view. So from my observations, when we talk about socio-emotional learning, I think we often forget how we are as a teacher or even parents position ourselves, how we position ourselves first before we guide and teach children about socio-emotional learning. So thank you for putting me as the first panel, because all of you need to excuse my presentations. I guess we need to start with the roots of the roots in delivering socio-emotional learning curriculum. I believe Neha will help me all of you to see the social emotional learning benefit for parents before all other two lovely panel talk about the curriculum itself. All right. All right. So this is what happened in the classroom. We have teachers and we have children, and children with their radical sincerity and immediate response, and while teachers have their house rules and emotional response. All right. And this is where teachers' socio-emotional intelligence come in place. All right. All right. Sorry. All right. As teachers, we are attached, and I think, to the subject matter when what I call the lure of learning. I mean, this comes from our passion in teaching ourselves that we want children to learn. Okay, and we are also very much attracted to trying to understand this being in children and themselves. And then, of course, that one of the key tasks of teaching is try to find a way to connect those beings, those children, the kids, their engagement in the world with either of the skills that we teach. And it's trying to make that connection. That's where I think teachers work on their emotions and on the kids' emotions. So good teachers either intuitively or learn their way around both the cognitive material that they are working with, but also the emotional terrain of the kids in their life. So in this dynamic that we have a relationship over here. All right. So a relationship between children and teachers, and of course where we have maturity and intelligence come in the picture. And when there is a relationship, there is also love. All right. So now you guys wonder, what is this lady talking about love? So relax. I'll go in depth about it. All right. So as I was getting interested in the topic of reasons and emotions, and becoming aware of the cause that teaching had for some teachers, I also began to have a practicing teachers coming to my classes who were tired, who were worn out. And that not only happens to teachers, I guess parents as well during these trying times. Okay, they wanted to some way to understand what was happening to them. From them, I mean, like, there are some either being feel lost, burned down, being tired, and the real signs of recognizing at that one time they were involved, they were in love, and they were engaged, and then it all lost. I mean, like, that's where the temper come in and everything, and somehow to reconcile that. And I think for me, the explorations of love and despair at this and this reason and emotion, a larger area of reason emotion, is a way to do that. So that is actually three kinds of love in teaching and learning. All right. All right. So we have three kinds of love in teaching and learning here. One is, as I mentioned on my first slide, I refer to a romantic love. This is where the lure of learning coming in. All right. We teachers, we parents always have this. We have this romantic in teaching. We want the children to learn. And then another one we call is attentive love, and that's our attempt to understand kids. And I think a part of that is listening to kids, and part of that is also having kind regards for children. And then there's another love that I outlined here is actually enlarged love. All right. It's an attempt to see one's own situation and the predicament that children find themselves in, and one finds himself in there as a teacher, him or herself as a teacher, in a way to try to be able to understand and move beyond those immediate concern. All right. So the kind of love that I'd like to explore today is that what I call attentive love. I think this type of love that has most of the concept of kindness in the relationship. And the attempt, I mean, like, we need to understand the good exists within each student, from the attempt to listen and to see our students more clearly and justify, and the understanding that in order to see more clearly, we need to reduce the noise in ourselves. What I mean the noise in ourselves is like how we self-regulate ourselves and deal with the students. And for me, it's a presumption that we need to approach the classroom, we need to approach our kids in our understanding. All right. So good exists within students, within other individuals, and within the world at large. And I think that with that assumption that good exists within, we can try to understand and be more open to understanding to the students and the kids. Another one is that what we need to do is to attend to our students. We should see them more clearly and more justly. All right. Another thing is I want to point out is we need to have the art of listening to children. Okay, children who knows others are listening may begin to listen to themselves, and then they may one day become their own critics. That sense of having child being attended to is through the act of listening. It's not the art of listening. Okay. Waiting for or looking around what we are going to do next is not the act of listening and trying to figure out what's wrong with the child, but it's the act of listening, just trying to understand that child in their own terms. All right. Okay. And then we have teachers advocating socio-emotional learning. Okay, socio-emotional intelligence. How do we advocate the socio-emotional intelligence in for children? So how there is a few questions that we need to ask ourselves. Okay, and we have to put love in that. Always to put in love, and also have to put some intelligence in the maturity that we have as a teachers. So because teacher socio-emotional intelligence will affect children in one way or another. So the first question we need to ask ourselves is, who is this student before me, and what strength and gift does she bring to our setting? And then the second one, why might he or she be responding or reaching in a way I find troubling? And then third one, how could I reframe the situation that I could contribute to viewing students in new lights? And then the important one, I guess, like, what does my reaction to these students tell me about myself? All right, because these questions bring back to my rules number one in my slides. Is a relations. I believe relationships is one part of the important part in socio-emotional learning, because it's important to build positive relationship in our students. Okay, let me ask all of you: do you want to learn do you want to learn from someone you don't like? we don't, right? We don't learn from someone we don't like. Okay, so kids are also like that. They learn better from someone they like. They need someone who believe in them. It's time for all of us, teachers, parents, to silence the noise in us, and to believe the children. Because sometimes when the noise in teachers happen, and we just lost our kind thoughts on the children themselves. So I guess if teacher can be richly kind and attentive towards students, I think if we put teachers in a different place and then enables them to choose battles, they won't fight, because there are plenty of battles to fight, to choose when is the appropriate time and how far to go with particular students in their regards, and it will enable the teachers to find their own place in the classroom. I think in a more powerful and in a more resilient kind of way. So that's my thought on it. So thank you so much.